Well, it started off okay.
G'day everybody, what's cracking? It's great to be with you this morning. Thanks for watching and tuning in.
Man, the beard was wild this morning. All right, let's keep going.
Today we're doing something a little bit different. I'm on the foreshore of Surfers Paradise. So behind me is the schoolies epitome of the world. And it's like we get to lose If you'd like to be part of this community and part of what we're doing here in terms of learning more about photography, in terms of learning more about video, I just really encourage you to subscribe, check out the channel, see what you think.
Okay, so that's not a disaster. Should play the intro. Just not working. Gosh. Oh, it's so good.
One of the things we've been working hard on is that every Saturday morning we try and arrange for the worst weather in the world to happen. And again, we've done it. This is like the third or fourth week in a row where it's overcast.
Yes, it's true. When it comes to beach photography, you really need a sun. I've gone out a number of times and it's been overcast and it is a disaster.
It's a bit misty and miserable, not the good kind of mist, where there's hardly any colour in the sky.
That's right, because sun creates colour, and beach photography is all about colour. Unless you're a weapon at black and white long exposure.
So this is really a difficult shot because you're looking at what perspectives have we got, and this is the perspective that I'm on.
So as you can see, early on, I'm starting to struggle with perspectives. Which angle to take the shot, what to shoot, and what should be the subject.
I've got my 20mm wide on. And the reason I shoot my 20mm wide is because I want to actually capture as much of the city as possible.
I always think for beach photography, it's a good place to start, 20mm. A lot of lenses go down to 24, and if that's all you got, then that's great. And you can go wider, but over the years, I've got narrower and narrower. And now I'm knocking it out at about 20mm, and I think 20mm is a good balance for beach photography. Obviously, you can go zoom in and crop in if you want to shoot something specific. But in terms of landscape photography on the beach, 20mm is a great choice. Great choice, Ralph. Carry on.
But the light's coming up really quick and there's not much colour. So I think what I'm going to do is put on a 10-stop filter, which is like really, really dark sunglasses for your lens. And with that, I'm actually going to get some cloud movement. And then I'm going to go a bit closer to the sea and hopefully get some some water movement up the beach. See if we can't compose a shot in light of those factors.
If you're down the beach and you're only thinking about cloud movement and water movement, it's not a great start. However, those two factors are really, really important when it comes to great beach photography. So a 10-stop filter reduces the light coming into the lens by 10 stops, which means you can expose for longer, which means you can get cool cloud movement and you can get cool water movement, which you have to practice at in terms of what the best length of time is. So basically for clouds, you need a big wide opening of 30 seconds or more. And for water, you actually need the opposite. You need about 1.5, 2 seconds. You've got two ends of the spectrum, but a 10 stop should allow you to engage both those things as the sun comes up, as it gets lighter and lighter.
So if you're wondering what a 10-stop filter is, it's this little thing here. You basically screw it on and screw it off the front. There's a thread on the front of your lens. You can work out how wide that is by a little circle with a line through it and then a number after it on your lens. So this says 0//0 77. And so I got a 77mm Hoya 10-stop filter. There's apps that you can use to work this out, which can't be bothered this morning. So just going to crush it, just going to boom, pop it on. It's on bulb. It's taking the shot.
The Nissi Filter app will do it great, where you can put in what stoppage you're using and what exposure you're on and so forth, which will then enable you to calculate what shutter speed you need to give you the longest exposure appropriate for the stop filter that you put on. Below 30 seconds, the camera does all the work. But above 30 seconds, when you go to bulb, you kind of lose your reference point.
And there's a tractor that's combing the beach. I think it's just cleaning it up.
So as you can see, I reckon every time I've gone down the beach, regardless of why and where, there's always been something unique happening. whether it's a person or a piece of equipment, whether it's dolphins or a whale, whether it's a surfer, whether the tide's actually doing something you didn't expect it to do around some rocks or on the beach, whether you find a shell. There's numerous different options that present itself. Be aware of those options, those subjects that can make something look fascinating and interesting.
And my hunch so far is that to get this shot, which I'm shooting on bulb at f11, ISO 100, in this light that's just starting to come up behind me, it's going to need about 3 minutes, 4 minutes, maybe even 5 minutes. A really great photographer would have started to record the time 30 or 40 seconds ago when I press go.
As you can see, this clown lacks a bit of finesse early in the mornings.
But, you know, it's just wing it. What could possibly go wrong?
Let's just spare ourselves. It wasn't crash hot, was it? Nope. We can do better.
Let's do a shot review. This ended up being on for 144 seconds. I don't know, like it's exposed correctly. I'm okay with the exposure, but I was hoping for some darker streaks. It's not quite contrasted enough for my liking. So I'm going to reset up, and then where I'm going to reset up is just down here. Look at that sun. So let's go get that.
2 seconds before I turned toward the sunset, the crew that I shoot with said, "Hey Ralph, the sun's come up." So I've gone down the beach to shoot the sun and assumed that it wasn't coming up and completely forgot about it. And I'm shooting the city. I'm looking in the wrong direction. But I share that because there's always things happening, and they're not always happening in the direction you think they're happening in. You can be shooting into the sun and the sky behind you is purple and highlighted and looking spectacular. You can be looking out to sea and the moon's actually full moon setting behind a surf tower in the background, that if you turn around you'll be able to see it. There's some wildlife sort of sneaking around here that you could get stuck into, but if your eyes aren't open and you're not constantly looking around, you will miss the shots that you wish you took, which is why it's good to go with others, because well, they'll hopefully, if they're good mates, they'll alert you like they did for me this morning. So then I went down and I was struggling because I wasn't sure where to shoot. And I think the reason I was struggling about where to shoot was when I first arrived, I didn't have a clear goal of what I wanted to shoot. And that's a problem. I think you need a starting point. I think as you go out to shoot beach photography, you need a starting point. Is it the framing of the natural geography that you want to make the most of when the sun comes up? Is it the waves and the shape and the movement of the waves that you want to feature as the light increases? Is it actually a tree or a subject or an object that you want to highlight behind the backdrop of whatever you're doing? So for me, this morning I was torn between city and beach and sunrise, and as a result, well, I nearly stuffed it. When I got down to the water's edge and I looked out to sea, I thought, how do we make it a little bit more interesting than just shooting sea? And there was that cool band of dark cloud just ripping across the top of the sunrise. I didn't want to take off my 20mm and put on a zoom lens to shoot the sun because, one, I didn't have time because the sun was coming up quick, so I wasn't prepared. Hence, you need to know what you're there to shoot, and you can select your lens accordingly. So I stuck with the 20mm. I thought, how do we actually make this interesting? I know, we'll use a lens ball. What? What's a lens ball? Oh, it's this. Oh, that's right. These are wonderful. It's like a sphere of wonder, which magnifies things as you stick it next to each other. It's a cool little thing. Do not hold it up to the sun when you are taking a photo because you can burn your eyeball out with the laser that comes through the glass. It's what it does. This is a lens ball. And so have a look at some of these images that I've put on about a lens ball. A lens ball does a couple of things. It flips images upside down, but it offers a creative insight that you can focus in on the ball and make everything else a little bit blurry. You do that by having a really wide open aperture. So you stop up to, well, I was shooting on 2.8 on my 20mm, and that seemed to work pretty well. the struggle is focusing on lens ball, but I'm going to do a video in a couple of weeks on lens balls, so we'll get to that. Lens balls give you lots of options, and so I exploited those options, and once they were done, as you can see from these images, and some were good, and some I was like, could have gone better on, could have gone better on. The tide was just about to turn. It was on the lowest point ever, and what we were expecting was just a glassy sort of shelf that we could shoot the city from and it would reflect. But the beach wasn't that flat. It ducked away, which meant there was no glassy flat to shoot the reflections on, and as a result the sea was getting further and further away as I was trying to take a photo with this. So once we did that, I put the bird up in the air. Basically, I pointed out to sea, and then I did a pano into the city, and this is that pano for you to enjoy and for you to look at. And then
I don't wanna stay here, no. Ain't gonna keep it low now. If you wanna go, let's go. Let's wrap it up and hit the road. I just got an awesome vibe, striking the winner post now. Liberty's on my mind. We've taken off, we've left the ground. You gotta understand that we get one chance, one chance. You will never regret the things that we'll do.
there were two final shots actually I want to show you. They're both top-down shots, and here they are. One's of the surf, and what I love about this is how foamy and strong that surf is, and you see the draw patterns of the water out of it behind the wave, and you see those surfers kind of waiting in anticipation of the next set that's coming in. So I just love that photo. And then there's the top down of the surf life-saving. So I literally had 4 minutes left on the battery, and as I flew in, I saw this surf life-saving just pulled up after a tractor had just put these beautiful streaks on the beach. So I put it in the top left third of the lens, pulled the trigger, and this is what I ended up with. So there are all sorts of angles that you can shoot the beach at. But otherwise, my encouragement would be get your settings right, underexposed by just a touch to bring out the colors, find something interesting to shoot, and think outside of the box. Think around, look around, what looks fascinating, what can help you make that photo look better. And then when you get to post, you'll be happier than perhaps I was, because I went into it not really having a clue what I should do. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Hope it's been fun, hope it's been helpful, and I'll put up a video next that you can really get stuck into, and I'll get to that lens ball video too in a week or two. See ya.